Okay, right. So, yeah, so it's advised not to say or to write that they are accurate representation of reality. And in the logic that, let's say, we are both living in the same nation, right? And then we are saying that the effects of capitalism, right? Okay, let's say taking that the film has portraying a life of the of a poor person, right? And then we are saying that this is a accurate representation of effects of capitalism, right? And then that is only a partial reality, right? Because the reality of business people, right, of entrepreneurs and so on, their reality is very different, right? And that is also caused by capitalism itself, right? So these are the reasons, right, why you have to avoid writing what is reality, reflecting reality, and so on and so forth. Alright, why is it important to try to understand? It's basically for you to understand how people making sense of the world. Right? Because textual analysis or qualitative analysis, qualitative research, for that matter itself, right? They don't simply believe the numbers could explain a phenomenon, for instance, right? Like, remember, we always discuss about crime rates and so on, the examples of crime, right? Let's say there's a police report saying that, news reports that saying that this number, the rates of Indians in Malaysia has been arrested. Okay, the numbers are there, but why they are being arrested, right? Why they are indulging themselves in crime, right? Why there's an increase in crime rates among Indian community over the years, for example, right? This all can't be explained by mere statistical evidences, right? That's why textual analysis is important, right? Remember, I've always said, emphasized the importance of context. Anything and everything is based on the context, right? The first question that you have to ask is, right, basically, interpreted by whom and what, in what context, right? These are the examples, are international examples, right? You can read for yourself, right? I would say that, let's say we have Malaysians, right? If you've watched Sepit by Yasmin Ahmad, right? The lead Yasmin Ahmad. The Sepit is a love story between a Chinese and a Malay girl, right? Chinese guy and a Malay girl, right? The title Sepit itself, right? If you put it in the context of Malaysia, right? The Chinese are called as Sepit, Mata Sepit, right? It's a very derogatory kind of term, right? But it is a statement. The film is making a statement against the ethnic stereotyping, right? Women are called, if you watch the movie itself, the film begins with the son, Chinese son, reciting the poem of Rabindranath Tagore to his Malay mother, if I'm not mistaken, to his Malay Muslim mother, right? And the conversation takes place, and he's speaking in Chinese while the mother is speaking in Malay, right? So these are the cultural barriers that they try to break in the context of multicultural Malaysia, right? That are rampant in racism and so on, right? Again, in 1960s, for instance, the emergence of punk style, right? The punk hair and so on was a form of cultural resistance against what is considered to be a high culture, right? Right. This you can read, right? 3 levels of context as a mere guideline, right? Rest of tags, genre of the tags, and there is wider public context in which text is circulated. Like what I say, if it is here, this example, my Malaysian Chinese filmmakers and chopstick, right? If you watch this particular set of filmmakers, right, Malaysian Chinese filmmakers, right, in each and every movie of theirs, you would see this repetitive scenes, or at least bits and pieces where they would be eating noodles, Maggie with the matter, right? Maggie with chopstick. And if putting into context, is basically they are saying that symbolically saying that the Chinese filmmaker, if you put it in the context of Malaysian filmmaking and the fundings they have been receiving, right? They don't receive much funds from the FINAS, than the Film National Institute, right? They don't they don't receive funds from the FINAS or any other government subsidiary for that matter. Right, so therefore they are basically trying to indicate that they have become poor and only relying on Maggies, right? Because they have spent all their money on films and they don't receive any funds from bodies, relevant bodies. It's a form of subtle criticism, right? That's what we're saying is that these three important contexts. Right. So how do you define which are the important parts of it that has to be analyzed? Right, it's basically up to you. Right, which maybe in a movie you just want to focus in the editing, right, in the lighting, it's cinematography, all right, or maybe you want to focus on the shots, long shot, mid shot, close-ups. Where is this? The stagings, right, and so on, so forth. It's up to you, right? Again, this is partly determined by the context which they are broadcasted. At different contexts have different meanings, right? Or maybe if you take them out of the context, it doesn't give any meanings for them. Right? These are some methods that you can right, what do you call ask for help, right? Something like call for help, right? Normally in texture analysis, we may rely on this three form of analysis, right? Semiotic analysis is very famous, right? How Ferdinand de Saussure's semiotic analysis, right? If you have time, you try to read about semiotic analysis, right? Signs. How do we from signifier, signified, and then from there you extract meanings, right? For instance, the examples of the symbol M, right? You extract meaning from the symbol M. There's McDonald's, right? That's what the idea of semiotic analysis are like. Of course, within that there are much more in-depth clarifications on how to do semiotic analysis. And then followed by ideological criticism is guided basically by Marxism, right? Marxist ideas from Marx's early conceptions that every ideology is negative ideology, and then followed by Gramsci, Roland Barthes, and says that these are constructions to maintain power, right? Maintain certain cultural hegemony, and so on and so forth. Discourse analysis primarily on analyzing oral and written text alone, right? This you can go through, or you can do textual analysis without the assistance of these three disciplines, right? Besides these three, we also have psychoanalytic, for instance, which is quite advanced as well, right? Psychoanalytic by Freud, right? The influence of Freud, Sigmund Freud in psychology, and then rhetoric analysis by Aristotle and so on, right? But those are quite advanced a bit, right? But these are the three basic things, right? So yep, see you. We'll discuss the tutorial task in your class, right? Okay.